Okay. So we are now starting the recording for this meeting of the Sustainable Economy Task Force at 2:35 p.m. On October 24th. And we have already met and discussed, but we didn't have quorum yet. So this recording just serves to cover our minutes and agenda, since we have already had a conversation prior to getting quorum. So we will just quickly go ahead and, I believe, take roll call. All right. Do we have GSD?
Yes, Secretary Doucette.
Thank you. EDD, that's me. Do we have MNerd? Okay. DWS.
Yes, this is Veronica Alonso, proxy for Raquel Gomez.
Thank you. Tax and Rev.
Yes, Lucinda Cito.
Okay. PED. Okay. We do not have James Poviwa, chair of the advisory council. He's excused. Do we have IAD?
Dino Moss, man.
Okay. Do we have environment?
Yes, this is Miori Harms here for Sydney Linneman.
Okay, great. And we do not have the SIC. They're excused. Do we have DFA? Nope. State lands. Okay. HED. Not here. All right. So that is roll call. And now we will go ahead and approve the agenda for this meeting. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. And this agenda, you can always find the materials posted on our site. We release these, so you have access to them. Do we have a motion to approve this October 24th agenda for the task force?
So move, Secretary Doucette.
Is there a second?
Second, Michael IAD.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? All right, that's approved. And now we will go to our minutes from September 26th. Can you see these?
Yes.
Okay. That is it. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from September 26th?
So move, Robert Doucette.
Is there a second?
Second, Michael.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then all we have left here is public comment and vote to adjourn. But what I'll do real quickly, since we're recording, we didn't start the recording until we had quorum, but I will just review for anyone who misses the meeting, the topics that we discussed as potential topics for future task force meetings. And so those include, we had from Michael Chacon raised the idea of uranium cleanup. We had Dennis chime in and discuss that we could maybe have a joint meeting with the COGS. Lucinda had echoed an idea about discussing local government finance and data management practices. And then for those latter two, I'll just reflect on some of the ideas that I had raised for potential discussion topics, and that's those final two were what Lucinda was responding to. So those in no particular order are the subject of local government finance for extractive communities who experience the impact of those industries on their tax base and workforce and broader economy. The subject of data management for economic development, the subject of harnessing federal funds, particularly federal funds through the IRA for clean energy development in New Mexico. And then the final one was clean energy workforce, which for those who weren't listening before we started recording, we were discussing how there's a new executive order from the governor on clean energy workforce. And in EDD, we've been collaborating with Department of Workforce Solutions and Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources to discuss the future of our clean energy workforce. And so these are not set in stone, but what we'll do is circulate a list of these to our task force members. Maybe we'll use our listserv to send out a request to anyone who's signed up for those updates to send topics that they might be interested in. And then we'll take it from there. We'll obviously vote on this before we finalize topics, but this is a good preliminary discussion. So is there any final public comment? I see Tom.
Hello, Kayla. I'm not quite sure how to get myself on camera, but I don't necessarily need to be.
Okay.
Yeah, just a quick thought on the idea of related to uranium cleanup, and that is just flagging that there's at least 2 other programs in state government that you might consider expanding the scope of that conversation. In MNERD, there's a mining and minerals division, and they've got the coal mine reclamation program. And so they're managing the cleanup of the surface portion of San Juan coal mine. And they would be doing the same for Four Corners in 2031 if it retires on schedule. Then at OCD, at the Oil Conservation Division, they've got an orphan well plugging and site remediation program. And they've got quite a bit of federal money as well as a lesser amount of state money to do a many years out plugging program. So in terms of jobs and sustainable opportunity, it seems like this could make the picture look bigger.
Awesome.
Picture is bigger.
That's great. And that relates to a discussion that I've had with Miori before about how, Miori, you're more so the expert in this than I am, but it seems like a lot of the skills that run across remediation work are kind of common ones that can be used in different types of projects.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good point. The AML program that's hosted at MNERD actually is limited. It's funded by the coal program. Coal companies' tax goes towards this, and they are only limited to safeguarding of uranium mines. So it's great for surface reclamation of coal mines, but as far as uranium mines go, they can only safeguard. So they can only put in fences, signage, gates, and they do partner with BLM, and BLM does pull in federal dollars into the AML program, and they have gotten a couple of uranium sites cleaned up as far as the surface reclamation goes in that direction. And then OCD's wild plugging orphan program, we actually now call our sites neglected to get away from the orphan terminology, because there is a lot of confusion around what is an orphan. So our neglected sites have no responsible party, and they are not under a cleanup program. So our uranium mine cleanup program that we're standing up at NMED, we're right now creating an implementation plan within our agency to put that forward and try to get funded in the legislature, is to address sites that are not addressed under any other program. So we're doing the due diligence of looking to see if any of our sites can qualify for AML safeguarding or surface reclamation projects, any federal dollars. So Forest Service has their cleanup program, BLM has a cleanup program, EPA has a cleanup program. And so I'm working with all of those agencies to ensure, okay, this site these sites are in the gap. They're not covered under anything else. There's no responsible party to bring them in for abatement. And so we recognize there are programs that exist that can cover a lot of the sites that we have that are untouched and need to be reclaimed. But there is still this subset that we can't clean up with any dollars. And we only got the authority to deal with those in 2022. So that's why we're standing up that program. We have a pilot site list where we're trying to promote, or we're trying to find a site where we can kind of prove out our policies and procedures and get cleanup done before our official program is in place. But we really are going to be petitioning for more dollars to the neglected sites. And so there's a neglected sites program at NMED, and that can include contamination from lead, asbestos, PFAS, VOCs, dry cleaner issues that you hear about. But then a subset of that is these neglected uranium abandoned mine sites. And so we're going to be putting forward a petition to get 150 million for the cleanup of those sites in the next legislative session. That won't cover all of uranium's cleanup, but we're hoping to get one pilot site cleaned up at least in that. So uranium is one of the most complicated issues in the state, in my opinion. It's taken me a year to go through all of the things that could apply, but don't, or that apply here and not there. And there always is an exception, and every site is unique. So I appreciate that there are cleanup programs, and I don't want to say that they don't exist. They do exist, but yet we still have this gap, and that's where I'm trying to kind of plug that hole and get funding from. So yeah, thanks.
Caleb, one other piece. The State Land Office a year or two ago did a major study on the inventory of abandoned wells, orphan wells, whatever you want to call them. So the SLO's got some expertise in this field as well for that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in touch with State Land Office. Actually, one of our pilot sites is a State Land Office site. And so I work with 11 other state agencies, and I work most closely with MNERD and State Land Office when it comes to the technical side of uranium site identification for cleanup.
Okay, awesome. Well, any other final public comments? Okay, I don't see any. Is there a vote to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Sorry, a motion, I mean. Okay, second?
Sendacito, second.
Okay, and that the first motion was Michael, right?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
R.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, we will now adjourn this meeting of the Sustainable Economy Task Force at 2:49 p.m. on October 24th, 2024, a Thursday. And we can stop the recording.